system with respect to the design. Okay, so let's start the presentation. In today's session, we are going to cover worm and worm wheel. What is meant by worm and worm wheel? Associated terminology for worm and worm wheel. The concepts like axial module, lead, diameter factor, which is important from the design point of view, and the strength of the worm gear, that is your beam strength, as well as the wear strength of the gear. So this part we are going to cover the theoretical aspects of our worm and worm wheel gear design we are going to cover. So let's go to the next slide. The name indicates here worm and worm wheel. So normally this is the general terminology used for specifying the worm concept. So worm wheel is basically gear. So in this pair there are two elements. One is called as worm and another is called as worm wheel or worm gear. So I'm shown on the left side one conventional diagram here. This is the conventional diagram and this is the 3D diagram. So in this 3D diagram, you see two elements, one looking like a gear and one looking like a screw. Okay. So in this, the screw element, this is the screw element. So screw element is called as worm and the gear, this is the gear element, which is called as worm wheel. So since it is engaging with this screw, so it is called as gear wheel. So it is called as worm wheel. So because it is engaging with worm. So the arrangement here is worm and worm wheel. Now let's understand what is meant by worm. So worm is an screw basically cut on a cylindrical element and it can have number of starts. So here I can say this is a multiple start screw here. One start is here, another start is here. You can see in the diagram also. So there are two starts here. You can magnify on your screen to see these details. So this is a multi-start threads are normally used in the worm. So you can have single start, two start, three start, even quadruple start. So as the diameter increases for this worm, you can go for higher number of starts there depending upon the speed ratio required. Then the other part, that is the gear element, so which is called as worm wheel, on which the teeth cut here. There are the teeth cuts here. Normally these teeth are spur in nature, but their top surface, this top surface here of this tooth is not plane surface. Normally it is a plane and straight surface in case of your spur gear, bevel gear, as well as on helical gear. But here, the surface here, top surface is and have some convexity, concavity on this surface. If you see that diagram here for the engagement in the conventional, this is a screw element engaging with this gear tooth. Now, if you see the side view here, the side view of this gear wheel is here. This is the tooth part. In this tooth part, you see the some concavity here. So the surface is not straight here. It is a concave surface. The tooth top surface is a concave surface. So it is called as envelope. So this arrangement shown here, it's a single envelope. The concept of single envelope, double envelope concept we'll see in the next slide. So there are different types of worm and worm wheel arrangement. So in which there will be single enveloping worm and worm wheel and double enveloping worm and worm wheel. Now basically where we will use this gear, that also will learn. So basically this worm and worm wheel is used when we require very high amount of speed reduction ratio. That is speed reduction, you require very large ratio of the order of even 100 or even 200 or 500. In such cases, or even whenever it is required greater than 10, and it has to be achieved in say single or maximum in two stage, then we have to go for worm and worm wheel. So you can say the worm and worm wheel can be used for gear ratio 10:1 to almost 500:1. So they are used for transmitting very, very high torque at very, very low speed. So this may be rotating at very high speed, but this gear will rotate at very, very low speed. And but it can transmit very large amount of torque to the application here. If it is single start here, and if you have say 40 teeth on this gear, so when this thread makes one revolution, then this gear will move by one teeth ahead. So to make this one revolution of this gear for single start thread, this single start thread means screw has to rotate 40 times. If there are 40 teeth on this gear, it has to rotate 40 times. So means to get one revolution here, this screw need to be rotated 40 times. That is for single start thread and 40 teeth on this. So gear ratio is very high. Means the transmission ratio here is now 1:40. Means the 40 times reduction is possible here. If I use one teeth here, one start here, and number of tooth on this gear, say 40. Suppose I use 100 teeth here, then single start thread here, I can have 1:100 reduction here. So the worm and worm wheels are used for very, very large amount of reduction here. So I have shown some diagrams here. There are some variation. You can see here, this is the simplest type. This is the convention. Then we have slightly these teeth, we can say these teeth are not exactly parallel to this axis. They are inclined at a helix angle depending upon the worm structure here. Suppose if this helix angle is more, so this needs to be also more. So it is like a helical gear, but it is having slightly higher helix angle. Then you are seeing here, this is the different material here. ये material अलग है. You are seeing that this material for the gear is here different, and here the material is different. So why to use such type of material? We are going to learn here. This is an having specific application. So we are using these gears for high torque transmitting capacity. The only disadvantage of this gear drive, it has a low efficiency. If you take the spur gear, the spur gear has efficiency in the range of 95 to 96% mechanical efficiency, transmission efficiency. If you take helical gear, the efficiency is of the order of 99%, 99.5%. Very less amount of energy is lost in friction there. And bevel gear, again, they have lower efficiency, but they are also having still the efficiency in the range of 94 to 96%. But if you take worm and worm wheel, they have very low efficiency compared to other drives. Their efficiency depends upon how this screw teeth are cut, means as well as these worm teeth are cut. And based on the frictional value here and the sliding velocity here, this efficiency will depend. So this efficiency even may drop to 60 to 80% also. So that is the disadvantage of this drive. That is the disadvantage of the potential, that is sliding action is there. So, and it has low efficiency compared to other drives. It is not 20%, 30%. It is greater than 60%. But it is less than your spur drive as well as less than your helical drive. Helical drive has the maximum efficiency and the smooth operation. So that's why in most of the automobile applications, you will find more of the helical gears used, and other types of gears are used only when there is a specific application. Now, where we are using worm and worm wheel. So worm and worm wheel is normally used in the automobile for steering mechanism. So you may find the worm is used at the end of your steering wheel. So which will rotate your worm wheel, which may be having circular shape or maybe having straight shape like a rack and pinion arrangement. So where you require to transmit very large amount of torque, you are rotating your wheel base. So you are turning. So you require very large amount of torque to turn your wheel, which is moving ahead with respect to the road. Then it is not possible to manually turn. So you are using the worm and worm gear arrangement there, or you are using the mechanical advantage arrangement with the help of gearing, and you can rotate your wheel and you can turn your vehicle. So that is the basic. You will find these are used very highly used in your steering mechanisms. or whenever you you are going to see the next side where I have listed the number of applications. So you come to know. So you can see the applications we are having. If you are opening the gate of any device, that is, suppose if you are opening, say, very large amount of water is stored in a dam, and the dam has the gates. So now there is a raining, and some of the rivers, there are many big dams are there, and they are overflowing. So in such cases, to take care of irrigation department has released the water. So to open that, you have gate control there. And this gate control, you cannot manually open. Please remember, they require very large amount of torque. So for that, they will have installed this gearbox there. Your worm and worm wheel gearboxes are installed there. Then you have hoisting machines. That is, you are lifting, say, weight and putting, say, you are lifting the bridge and installing bridge elements you are installing together. So you require very large amount of torque there. So they, in that such applications, such hoist mechanisms, you will have worm and worm wheel arrangement. This was already I talked, that is automobile steering. The lifts, some of the lifts, they has this structure. So they will have a drum structure on which rope is wound. So that drum is rotated with the help of your worm and worm gear drive, because your motor will be running at, say, maybe say 3000 rpm or 2800 rpm, but that much speed is not required for your lift. So their speed need to be reduced. So where the drum is there, where the wire ropes are wound, so the lift can be lowered or unwound, so that lift can be lowered. So there in the lift mechanism also, the gearbox used is normally worm and worm wheel. Then there are some conveyors. If you require very large amount of force for any press application, hydraulic press application, or say means a mechanical press application, then presses. And if you want to reduce speed, very sudden large amount of speed reduction is expected in certain devices, such as indexing mechanism. And this thing we are using the worm and worm wheel. So I was talking regarding the type of enveloping. So when we have, this is the base cylinder for your screw, and this is the base circle for your wheel, worm wheel. Now, there are two types, single enveloping and double enveloping. In single enveloping, you will have screw of straight in nature. The surface of the screw will be very, very straight. So normal screw you will find. But in double enveloping, this surface is not straight here. So it will have curvature. So it will have curvature here, and this concave surface is generated on the cylindrical surface here. So this is your double enveloping. If you go back to the previous slide, I have shown one diagram for single enveloping. So you can see here. So this is the diagram of single enveloping. So this arrangement shows single enveloping. So this shaft may not be necessarily, this shaft is a continuous. So it is not having your this thing, double enveloping. So many times for a smooth operation, you require double enveloping. This will also give smooth operation, but double enveloping will give better, means noise-free operation for the worm and worm wheel. So there are basically single enveloping type screw and double enveloping type screw. So when you want a smooth operation, then you can go for double enveloping. And if it is a normal operation, you can go for single enveloping. Now in this, there are certain concepts like pitch cylinder. So if you have a screw which is called as normal screw, so normal diameter is the pitch diameter. Now this is not the real pitch diameter. This is the reference pitch diameter. So this is known as D1, and this is your D2. That is the pitch diameter of your worm wheel or worm gear. So that is the reference pitch diameter. Please remember, in till 3 drives you are learned: gear drive, your spur drive, helical drive, and bevel drive. There the pitch diameters are the real pitch diameters. In bevel gear, we have seen there are numerous number of pitch diameter. So we specified there the bigger end as the pitch diameter. But in case of worm and worm wheel, there will be a reference pitch diameter. So this is called as reference pitch diameter. Actual pitch diameter will be slightly different than the reference pitch diameter. Suppose this reference diameter here is say 20 mm. Then my actual pitch diameter may be 20.1 mm. That real pitch diameter may be different than this D1 value. since it is a screw, so when you rotate a screw, the path followed by the screw profile in one rotation is called as a lead. That is called as lead. So if I have a single start thread here, so if I rotate this screw, so I will come to this point. So this point is called as lead. If it is single start, I will come to this point here, only this point here. If it is now, if I say this screw is a multiple start thread, then suppose it is 3 start thread, then my lead is from this point to this point. So after one revolution, I am moving in axial direction up to this point. I move this screw from this point to this point like that. So this point is moving forward in this direction, that is called axial lead. So axial lead depends upon your number of starts, and axial lead is equal to pitch when number of starts is equal to single start thread. If you have 2 start thread, then your axial lead, that L will be equal to 2 times the pitch. So this angle is called as the lead angle of the screw. So how much your screw advances in one revolution divided by, now this is the pitch circle diameter, divided by your pitch circle reference, that is your peripheral distance, that is pi d1. So this gives you tan gamma. So this gamma angle is called as the lead angle. This is very important in the design perspective. The gamma is the lead angle and very important lead angle here. Now this gamma angle, lead angle, will be associated with the helix angle of your tooth here. And the helix angle is normally complementary angle. So if gamma is 30, helix angle will be 60. Helix angle of that screw will be 60. If this gamma is equal to 35, then helix angle will be 90 minus 35. So please remember, we are not going to use much into the calculation of this helix angle of the screw, but we are definitely going to use lead angle, because lead angle depends upon the number of starts of the thread and the pitch, axial pitch or axial module of that gear. So let's go to the terminology, detailed terminology. Now we are going to the detailed terminology of the worm and worm wheel. So for that, I have taken a reference diagram from PHG 8.13. This is the diagram on the PHG 8.13. This is your screw having diameter, reference diameter D1. So this is, now here D1, above that D1, it may not be visible because this picture is not clear, but if in PHG data book, you can see this. This is D1 dash. That was I am talking about. D1 is your reference diameter, and D1 dash is, in this case, it is the pitch diameter. It is the actual pitch diameter. So there is a small difference between actual pitch diameter and the reference diameter. Okay, and this is your worm here. It is not shown fully here. I have shown here it half. So it is shown in PHG data book. Half portion is at the bottom here. And here the section is shown to show the engagement of the tooths here, tooth and the screw thread here. So this is the thread going there. This is the entire length of your screw here. That also has a ratio. There is a standard to be followed to use this length. Then this profile is shown here. This is the thread profile here. So thread profile is almost similar to your tooth profile here. Your tooth profile hai, and this thread profile is almost similar. That's why the engagement is possible. So now whenever we take worm and worm gear, we need to specify any gear. We specify what? We specify module and number of teeth. If it is per gear. When it is helical gear, what we specify? We specify module, then we specify number of teeth, and apart from that, you require a helix angle there. So we require 3 points there. That is, when you go for spur gear, 2 specifications are there: module and your number of teeth. Then for helical gear, along with these 2, you need to add helix angle. If you go for bevel gear, you are specifying module and the number of teeth. So you are specifying module here at the outer end, that is the bigger end for the bevel gear, but that is not a complete specification. So apart from, you need to specify the cone angle there. You need to specify their cone angle. So there you are specifying 3 elements: In helical gear, also you are specifying 3 gears. Bevel also you are specifying 3 gears. So that is called complete definition of that drive. But for worm gear, what designation we should follow? So we have standard designation to be followed for worm and worm wheel. Just read here. So worm and worm wheel are designated in following format. I have given the format here. So there is a capital Z, oblique small z, oblique small q, oblique small mx. Let's learn one by one each term here. So in this designation, first capital Z, what it tells, I have read here, it tells about number of starts on worm. So worm is what? Worm is your screw. So it talks about the number of starts for the screw. You can have a single start screw, you can have double start, you can have multiple start screw. So this Z number, capital Z number here indicates the number of starts. So you can have 2, 3, 4, depending upon the diameter. If the diameter is bigger, you can go for higher number here. Then it is followed by small number here, oblique slash small z. This small z indicates the number of teeth on worm wheel. So we have here worm wheel. So on this worm wheel or worm gear, how many number of teeth are there? Again, there is a standard to be followed for this number of teeth for worm wheel. So this table, this is available. The standard tables are available in the PAG data book. So standard number of teeth are required based on the gear ratio required. So the Z and Z will decide the gear ratio here. So capital Z and small z decides the gear ratio. So Z is, small z is for number of teeth on the worm gear or worm wheel. Q here diameter factor from worm. ये जो diameter है D1 है, your reference diameter D1 has a relation for Q. So that we are going to learn the diameter factor relation. So Q will be specified here. Again, there are standard values for Q. You cannot take any value for Q. So there are certain standard values you need to follow for Q. And next is MX, that is called axial module of the gear. So if I take the tooth here, tooth profile, so that tooth profile, this tooth profile, what is the axial module value or module value? So this we are referring in your page number 8.3. After calculation, you are calculating MX and then you select the standard value from the 8.3 page. So what is that axial module? So whenever we specify any worm and worm wheel, we require minimum 4 elements to specify. It is not 3, 2, it is not 3. We require 4 elements, that is capital Z, number of starts, small z, number of teeth on the worm wheel, capital Q, diameter factor, and MX, that is axial module. So I have given one simple example here, 240 10 by 4. This example I have taken from PAG 8.47. Please learn where. So there is a standard table available to take the standard worm and worm wheel pairs. You cannot have different pairs apart from this. So let's see the worm and worm wheel standard pairs. One minute. Yeah, this is the standard table. Recommended values of transmission ratio based on the transmission ratio and center distance. What type of pair you can select for your application? So this is the number of pairs available based on your transmission ratio. How much transmission ratio you require? That is a gear ratio you require. You require 20, 25, 10, 50, 60. Then how much is the approximate center distance between worm shaft and the worm wheel shaft? So if you have say 200 or say 100 mm distance, then what is the here? So I have taken this here there, this pair. Say let's say your transmission ratio is around 20 and your center distance is around say 100. Then you can select this pair. You can select this pair. So there are number of pairs available here. So this is the one of the pair, worm and worm wheel pair. So this is the standard pair you have to select for your application. So let's go to the so you have number of application. So there some values are say this is the your capital Z value, this is your small z value, this is your Q value, this is your mx value. So there are some values in bracket. So these bracket values are normally not preferred. If there is no choice, then only you have to go for these bracket values. Non-bracketed values are the always preferred values. जैसा ये this pair 240 by 10 by 4, it's a preferred pair. Suppose if I go for this pair here, say center distance is almost same here, say 100 mm, and transmission ratio is around 25. So in this ratio 254 by 11, that 11 is not standardly preferred, but if there is no choice available or left, then you can have this pair and you can form your gearbox with this worm and worm wheel. Okay, so these are the standard pairs you have to select for your design. Let's go back to the again to the presentation. Okay, so in this I have taken one standard pair, so that told that is around 100 mm distance and 20 ratio, transmission ratio. I can have this pair 2 by 40 by 10 by 4. So in this two, number of starts on worm are 2. That is this on this screw, it is a double start screw. So one start is here, another start will be at the back end. So exactly at 180°, two threads are starting. Then number of teeth on worm wheel in this case are Z, small z is equal to 40. So on this worm wheel, I will have 40 teeth. The diameter factor for worm Q is equal to 10. So this D1 diameter here, it is D1 dash here, but actual reference diameter D1 here will be 10 times the axial module. 10 times the axial module. The diameter factor Q is equal to your D1 by M. That is Q is equal to D1 by M. So M in this case is 4. So M in this case is 4. So axial module in this case is 4. So from this Q value and MX value, you can determine the D1 diameter here. What is the D1 diameter? So 10 into 4. So diameter of this worm will be 40 mm. Diameter of the worm will be 40 mm. Then diameter, pitch circle diameter of your worm gear will be 40 into 4. That is 160 mm. 40 into 4, 160 mm. Now the distance, axial distance, that is A, will be half of this, this diameter, and half of this diameter. So this diameter is 40, so half of this is 20, and this diameter is your 160, so half of this is 80. So 80 plus 20 is 100 mm. So you can see the table value I have selected was 100 mm center distance. So from that, these conditions are satisfied. So we have based on this designation, I have written a useful notations to be used in the design. There are numerous notation. If you open the PSG data book, there are numerous notation. Out of that, I have just listed the important notations, like say gear ratio. So how will you define the gear ratio? Gear ratio I for worm and worm wheel gear drive. Gear ratio I will be equal to small z upon capital Z, where small z is the number of teeth on wheel, and capital Z will be number of teeth on number of start on your thread. So in this case, for this problem, what is the gear ratio? So we have small z 40, we have capital Z 2, so 40 by 2. So gear ratio here it is 20. So gear ratio in this case arrangement is 20. Then diameter factor I have told here, Q is equal to D1 by MX. D1 is the diameter of your screw, reference diameter of your screw, that is called pitch diameter, but it is called as reference diameter. MX is your axial module of the gear. So MX is axial module here is 4. Your Q is equal to here 10. So D1 will be 10 into 4, 40 mm. Then this lead angle, on the previous slide, you have seen the concept of lead angle. So lead angle on the reference cylinder here, lead angle for the reference cylinder here, that is equal to tan gamma upon Z upon Q. This is the formula for your lead angle. So tan gamma is equal to Z upon Q. Here the number of starts are 2. So 2 upon Q, Q here is 10. So 2 upon 10, if you take the tan inverse of that, you get the lead angle. You get the lead angle. So these four figures will give you the entire calculation, whatever calculation you want to do in your design process. Then we have axial pitch, axial pitch, that is small px, is equal to pi mx. So there is a difference between pitch and lead. So lead will be equal to pitch only when z is equal to 1. Please remember, lead will be equal to pitch when z is equal to 1. So axial lead pz, that is written as pz or l, sometimes written by small l, v is equal to z into px. So this z is equal to number of starts on the thread. If number of starts on the thread are equal to 1, then your axial lead and pitch are same. If your number of starts are other than 1, then your pz value will be greater than axial pitch by number of starts. Then I have already told how to calculate center distance. So center distance, this distance from this center to the center line of worm, this center distance A is equal to mx by 2 q plus z plus 2x. I was talked normal center distance is up to this q plus z. Then what is this 2x term? So this 2x term is called as addendum modification coefficient. It's a correction in the center distance need to be done. So you get the actual center distance A is equal to mx by 2 into q plus z into 2x. And the value of x depends upon the numerous application and the manufacturing process also. So sometimes you need to consider this addendum modification coefficient. Sometimes we can take this addendum modification coefficient value as 0. Sometimes you can take this value as positive, and sometimes you can take this value, x value, as negative also. So based on that, the center distance corrections will be applicable and final center distance can be determined. Okay, so this is regarding the initial part of your worm and worm gear technology. Let's go to the further calculation, how we can use this terminology in the design process. Okay, so now we are going for the force analysis, torque analysis. Let's understand how we are doing the torque analysis in the worm and worm wheel. We are talking about here this torque analysis for worm wheel and axial module for worm wheel. So how we calculate torque? So torque we are transmitting. How we are transmitting? For that we know the power in either in kilowatt or HP. Let's say we know the power in kilowatt. So if you know the power in kilowatt, then the torque transmitted on worm and worm wheel depend upon the transmission efficiency. There is a very important, this term is very important, transmission efficiency. This was I was talking when I had opened that first slide, that worm and worm wheel has lower transmission efficiency. And gear ratio, it depends upon gear ratio. The rated torque on worm wheel. Let's understand where we are calculating torque. We are not calculating torque on worm. We are calculating torque on worm wheel. So we are inputting to the worm and we are calculating output at the worm wheel. So this is a rated torque. This value is the rated torque on worm wheel. Till previous calculation, mostly we used to do the calculation for rated torque for pinion, and normally that is the first element in the pair. That is the first element. But in this arrangement, this is the second element. Worm wheel is the second element. So in the torque analysis, we do always the torque analysis of worm wheel. We don't do the torque analysis of worm here. We do the torque analysis of worm wheel. So the rated torque for worm wheel here, it's MT, will depend upon this, how much is the input energy in terms of kilowatt or HP. Since it is in kilowatt, I have using the appropriate term in kilowatt into 60 into 10 raised to 6 upon 2 pi n. Now where this n, which is this n? This n is not of say worm wheel. This n is of your worm. That is the speed of your screw into that is into eta. It is the transmission efficiency. So at the bottom I have written here where kilowatt here is the power rating of your drive. How much input power you are supplying there. Normally, if you are supplying the power with the electric motor, so it is the electric motor rating. If you are supplying the power with the help of engine, then it will be the power rating of your engine. That will be the power rating of your engine. N is the speed of the worm. What is the input speed here? So that is the input speed here, not the worm wheel speed. It is the input speed. I is the gear ratio. So gear ratio can be 20, gear ratio can be 10, gear ratio can be 40, gear ratio can be even 100 also. 500 karne ke liye, it is not possible in one step. You have to go for two stage. That 500 gear ratio is also possible, but in that case you have to go for two stage arrangement. You can't do in one single stage. Up to 100 or 120, you can have number of teeth on one wheel. 100 or 120, you can have single stage gear ratio of 100 or 120. Then eta, that is the efficiency of one gear drive. That is the efficiency of one gear drive. And this efficiency is calculated by this formula. There are table values are also available. If you don't know the some certain parameters, or you can assume certain efficiency and you can do the design, but you can calculate the actual efficiency by this formula, where tan gamma upon tan gamma plus rho. Okay, so gamma already you are not knowing now, that is the lead angle. So it depends upon the how we have designed the screw. So it is a single start screw, double start screw. They based on that gamma is selected. And there are standard values for gamma. There are the standard tables also available in the PHG. Then this rho, this is your friction angle. So there is a friction between your tooth surface of your worm wheel and the worm thread. So based on the that frictional angle, that frictional angle is rho. So based on the coefficient of friction mu there, you can calculate rho. So tan rho is equal to mu. So if you know the mu value for that particular material type, then you can calculate the friction angle. So based on this friction angle and the lead angle, the efficiency of the drive will be decided. Okay, so frictional coefficient, I already told that mu is equal to tan rho. So from this relation, if you know the mu value, you can determine the rho and you can determine the efficiency. And if you don't know the data for mu, then you can take the approximate value for efficiency. And based on this approximate value of efficiency, you can calculate the rated torque on the worm wheel. So this is the rated torque. Whenever we are going for design, we don't use the rated torque. So what we use? We use the design torque. So design torque will be equal to now mt into kd. So k is your load concentration factor and kd is your dynamic load factor. So these values you can refer from the PHG data table as per our previous discussion. K and KD tables are available, or K and KD initial assumption values are also available if you don't want to use the KKD tables. Then based on this value, we need to calculate the tangential load. So tangential load on the worm wheel will be equal to, so tangential load on the worm wheel, I have written as FT2 is equal to PT, that is equal to 2mt upon D2. So how much is the torque, rated torque there? This value, rated torque, upon the diameter of the worm wheel into 2 will give the tangential load there. The tangential load on the worm. Tangential, till previous design we have seen tangential load is same for pinion as well as gear there. But in case of worm and worm wheel, the tangential loads have different directions. So this value will be different for worm wheel, and worm wheel ke liye tangential load different rehta hai. If you see the tangential load on the worm, this is equal to FT1 is equal to this value, that is PT, that is this value, into tan gamma plus rho, into tan gamma plus rho. These two table values are also given in the PHG. If you see the PHG 8.54 or 55, these values are given. But please remember, FT1 and FT2 are not equal. That is the tangential load on the first element, tangential load on the second element. First element is worm and second element is worm wheel. They are never equal. That is the distinction in the worm wheel drive. FT1 and FT2 are same for bevel, spur, helical gear. But in case of FT1 and FT2 for worm and worm wheel, they are always different. They are not in the same direction. They are in the right angle to each other. So their values are different. So these values can be calculated. One value you can determine based on your rated torque value for the worm wheel, and the other value you can use the same value, and you can use this relation to determine the other tangential load on the worm. So these tangential loads are normally required. How much is the torque on that particular element? Okay, so based on these values, so gamma is your lead angle and rho is your friction angle. Already I have discussed here. So based on that, you can determine these loads here to determine the dynamic load in future. Now, how to calculate axial module? So this formula is given in the PHG. It is 1.24 cube root of your design torque upon ZQY into sigma B. So this formula is very, very similar to your spur gear, because the gear shape itself is a spur gear with some small modification. So, but in this formula, you have to use MT here. You have to use sigma B. So this sigma B value, there is design bending stress. There is a separate table. Please don't follow the table given for the spur gear. There is a separate table given for the different type of gear material there. So there is the separate table given. So it's separate table to be followed. So it is not B here, it is Q. So Q to be used, that diameter factor is to be used here. Again, Y value table, separate Y value table is given for worm wheel. Don't use the Y value table of your spur gear or helical gear. So sigma B, Q, and Y, these different tables are separate tables are given. So when we are solving the problem, I will be actually demonstrating the solution. So that time we will see how we are selected sigma B from the different table value. So in this relation, we are seeing the we have this here small z. This is the small z. Number of teeth on worm wheel. Q diameter factor, capital Y form factor, and sigma B design bending stress. And from this calculation, you can determine the minimum module required here. And based on the table value of 8.3 page in the PhD, you can take the next value, and that becomes the standard module for the design. Let's go to the next slide now. This is regarding the torque analysis and the module calculation. Okay, now let's go to the strength of the worm gear. So normally the worm gear will have two types of strength. One is your bending strength and another is your wear strength. So let's calculate some of the terms here. Since I have told there is a friction and there is a sliding velocity. So sliding velocity Vs is equal to V1 by cos gamma, where V1 is the pitch line velocity of your worm and gamma is the lead angle. And this pitch line velocity based on your reference diameter D1, V1 is equal to pi D1 N1 upon 60,000. So if you use D1 in millimeter, so you can write in here 60,000. So you get this value in meter per second. So this is the sliding velocity. If this sliding velocity is high, then your coefficient of friction changes. So the coefficient of friction depends upon sliding velocity. Let's say beam strength equation. We are using the same equation as that of spur gear. So beam strength equation SB is equal to Fs here. That is equal to Mx B sigma By. Same equation. Only this Mx will be axial module here. B is the face width of the gear. जो worm wheel का जो face width है. Again, this face width will not be taken as 10 m. Please remember here the face width is not 10 m. There is a separate table available or standard value relation for B here. So you have to take standard value of B, and then sigma B Y product. Already I have talked sigma B and Y are separate tables. So similarly, there is a separate table available for worm wheel. So you have to follow. Don't take 10 m. There will be separate table available here. Then to calculate, we have to apply dynamic loading condition. You have to apply dynamic load on the worm wheel. So dynamic load, there is a relation here. This relation to be used, that is 6 plus Vg upon 6. This is the CV formula for dynamic load. 6 plus Vg upon 6 into Ft. This Ft you have seen in the previous slide. This is the Ft2. This is the Ft2 because we are talking about worm gear. So that is worm wheel. So this value is Ft2. So this Ft2 value to be used here. Then we get this dynamic load. So if you want to calculate the pitch line velocity, the Vg आपको निकालना है, तो how will you calculate pitch Vg? Vg is equal to pi dg ng upon 60,000. So what is the speed of your worm wheel? What is the diameter of your worm wheel? So reference diameter. So from that you can calculate the Vg, and we can calculate then your Fd based on the Ft2 value. And this is your beam strength. It is the capacity. This is the design value. So this is the maximum capacity of the strength. And this maximum capacity has to be greater than your dynamic load. Maximum it is equal to, otherwise then this will fail. So for safe design, you should have SB greater than FD. Similarly, you can check the wear strength of the gear. So wear strength of the gear, there is a small formula. There is a different formula. Don't use the spur gear formula. This is a different formula. DG B into K. DG is the diameter of your worm wheel. B is your face width of the worm wheel, table value. KW is the load concentration factor. This is also called as wear factor for the particular type of worm and worm wheel pair. And there is a standard table available for different pairs. So you have to use the standard table value for the kW. So I have told B you have to use, that is the face width of the gear. So for that B you have to refer table number 38 on PAG 8.48. And for kW you have to refer wear factor table number 43 PAG 8.54. So for safe working, again, safe working of the tooth, you need to follow fitting that SW has to be greater than FD. So you can design your worm wheel such that SW should be greater than FD. So if you refer this 8.42 and 8.54, some of the terms I have mentioned, you can see. Let's go to see the, when we'll do the design calculation, we will use the actual terms, but let's see these values here. 8.48 पहले देख लीजिए. Let's go from one by step by step the values here. Yeah. Say this is the picture I have shared with you. ये आपका वर्म गियर ड्राइव का 8.43 का पेज है. इसमें I have told there are numerous formulas. Out of that I have used certain choose formulas which are we are you going to use maximum times. Remaining formulas you can refer from this table here. Number of formulas are there. Then the design formula for axial module, design formula for checking the contact stress. So I'm not going to the detail of contact stress because it is repeated so many times. You have to use this formula. Once you design, you have to check this. Or you can design from this perspective and then you can check the bending. You can check the bending formula here. So if you design for contact or wear, contact stress or wear, then you can check for bending. If you are starting your design with a bending formula, that is the bending value, then you can check this. So there are the formulas available for bending stress calculation, contact stress calculation. If you have been given, say, if you have been given power in HP, then you can calculate the rated torque by using this formula. I have given the formula. If you use given the power in kilowatt, then you can use that formula. Okay. So there is no much difference. ये coefficient ही वहाँ पे change हो जाता है. Then this is the design formula, rated torque depending upon the K and KD factor. So here K is normally taken around 1. If it is electric motor is there, then you can say 1 starting motor. Then dynamic load factor is, if your velocity is small, then dynamic load factor can be equal to 1. If your dynamic, say K velocity is more, that V2 velocity, that is the velocity of your gear is more, greater than 3 meters per second, then you have to take the KD value higher than 1. Then sliding velocity formula, I have given one formula, but there is another formula based on Z and Q value, capital Z and Q value also. Then we have said, I was talking about surface stress, contact stress. What are the contact stress? Contact stress will depend upon the what is the worm material and what is the wheel material. Normally worm material is steel. So if you take any application, you will find maximum cases worm material is steel. But wheel materials, there are numerous wheel materials. So you will have either cast iron material or bronze material. One diagram I have shown there, the color diagram was there. So color was there for the material. So that was the bronze material. So why we use bronze material? Bronze material can take care of frictional stresses or frictional value better way. So it can dissipate heat properly. So these are the VS value. Then there is a sigma V value here based on your material, bronze material or cast iron material. Sigma B value will be taken from this table. Then there are standard lead angles based on your Z value and Q value. Say sometimes you don't need to do the calculation. Calculation is already given. So if you know, say, number of starts and Q value, you have direct calculation available from this table. You don't have to use calculator also. Then how many number of, if you are designing, then how many number of teeth should be there based on your center distance and the axial module. So how many number of teeth should be there, approximate number of teeth on the worm wheel. So these are the standard number of teeth with some exception, plus minus one or two teeth we can do here. Double star is mentioned, so you can vary by plus minus 2. And for single star, ये जो है single star, you can vary by minus 1 or plus 2. So if it is 29, so you can take 28, 30 or 31. So these are the standard teeth value. Then I have shown you the designation. And then based on the phase width, what should be the phase width? The table value from this phase width will be taken. Then if any correction for the phase width, is given here. Correction for your worm length. Then we have different formulas for your worm width. It is on the next this thing. I'm showing that. Yeah. Worm wheel formulas, your FS formula or SB formula. This formula is for bevel gear. Similarly, there will be formula for your worm gear. Yeah, worm gear formula on the bottom side is there. Yeah, this is the worm wheel formula. I have written is the same formula, only 1 upon P is nothing but M. This is your diametral pitch. So 1 upon diametral pitch is M. So M B sigma By. I write the formula in the Lewis form, so it is easy to refer them. Then there are certain terms, FD formula. Then there is very important wear load formula. Now there is an important concept, heat generation, because there is a friction, large amount of friction. Then what is meant by heat generation? Let's go to the slide and understand this heat generation and how we can overcome. Okay, so let's come back to your slide. This is very, very important aspect, that is the thermal consideration or heat generation into the drive. If the heat is not properly dissipated, then there is a chances your gear will fail. So the efficiency of worm and worm wheel is poor. When the efficiency is poor, then where it is going? Say you have been given 1 rupee and you are using only 60 rupees. So say 60 paisa, then where is that 40 paisa going? So the remaining amount of energy is lost in the sliding friction. And this sliding friction normally converts this energy into a heat. Okay, if this heat is not dissipated, if your drive is not properly designed, if this heat is not dissipated, what will happen? The drive may fail due to the change in the properties of the material due to increase in the temperature. If there is an increase in the temperature, then worm wheel properties and as well as worm material properties will change, and they may destroy the properties, and there may be failure of the components of your drive. Now, to maintain the safe working, temperature of the drive need to be properly, the drive need to be properly lubricated. Sufficient lubrication should be there. So lubrication will take care of reducing the friction, as well as it will carry certain heat away from the drive. So let's understand the thermal analysis. This is the heat transfer analysis we are doing here. Let's go back to the slide. In this thermal analysis here, heat transfer analysis, we are calculating heat generated. So how much is the power lost? Power lost is converted into heat generation. So we have total supply of power is equal to kilowatt rating. My efficiency is say 60. So 1 minus 0.6 into if I transmitting 10 kilowatt, so 1 minus 0.6 into 10, that much amount of energy is lost in terms of heat generation, where kilowatt is the rated power, input power, and eta is your efficiency of the drive. Now, when this heat is generated, temperature will rise. Because of temperature rise, there will be heat dissipation by the gearbox to the surrounding. So how much heat is transferred to the surrounding? That is heat dissipated. That is equal to heat transfer coefficient into the surface area available there. It is not the exact surface area. It is the approximate surface area available for heat transfer into the delta T, the temperature difference between the working media there and the outside media there. So delta T there. So based on these values, the heat dissipated will be there. So HCR is your heat transfer coefficient. Delta T is the temperature rise for, if you are using lubricant there. So delta T will be the temperature rise for the lubricant. A is the minimum surface area of the housing, which will be given by this formula. This formula is coming from your data book. And A is the center distance in this formula. So this A center distance has to be used in centimeter. Then you will get this area into the centimeter square. Then later you can convert into the meter square, and you can put it here, and you can calculate HD in watt and kilowatt. Now, for any heat transfer problem, there are the two conditions. One is a transient condition and another is a steady state condition. So after certain time, initial condition will be transient condition. After certain time, there will be steady state reached. So for steady state condition, your heat generated will be equal to heat dissipated. Heat generated will be equal to heat dissipated. So considering steady state condition, Hg, this value is equal to this value, that is Hd. So from this, we can determine the power rating of that drive. You can determine how much power can be transmitted with that drive. So if you are designing or calculating power rating based on the heat thermal consideration, then based on thermal consideration, this is the maximum power you can transfer through that drive, where delta T is the, now see, I have used delta T with here square and here simple. This is the actual delta T and this is your design. So this is the permissible, maximum permissible temperature rise in the lubricant. So if I use this value, I can get kilowatt rating. That is the maximum power I can transmit with that gearbox with thermal consideration. So based on the efficiency, heat transfer coefficient, this is also not constant, but you can assume this value constant. And then you can calculate the power rating, and that is the maximum power you can transmit by the worm and worm wheel. So normally we have not done the any thermal consideration for spur gear, helical gear, and bevel gear. But in case of worm and worm wheel, we need to have, you need to do the thermal consideration. Otherwise, there is a chances if it is not designed properly for thermal consideration, then your drive may fail under thermal consideration. So this is regarding the terminology and the content. I have completed my content. If you have any query, you can put in the chat box. So now I will stop my recording. So if you have query, we will continue the meeting further. And once the queries are answered, then we can stop the meeting. Please ask the queries.